Good morning everyone and welcome back to another episode here at Bareham Engines. So as normal guys, before we go any further, please, we're doing really well with subscriptions, just hit that subscribe button if you haven't before, hit the notification bell and you will be notified whenever we put up a video. First of all, regarding the E30 that I put on the last video, the picture of the E30, very strangely, I got contacted by a subscriber, a chap called Paul Jeffries. Paul is a Mini A-Series specialist. Paul and I had a big long chat for over an hour actually, talking about minis and what have you. But the reason for Paul getting in touch with me is he said, I noticed the E30 you put a picture of on your last video that you seen at the show. He said, that is a friend of mine's car. I said, oh, blimey. He said, yeah, well, what I'll do is I'll get in touch with him. He might be useful to give you some tips and hints for your E30, because what he didn't know about E30s isn't worth knowing. But very strangely, when I was on the phone to Paul and he was saying that, I had a message come through and it was from the actual owner of the vehicle who obviously watches the channel. He said, I've just seen my E30. Yesterday, I gave him a bell. He said, give me a bell anytime. So I had a chat with him on the phone, really interesting. He had the car, I think he said he converted the car, which is a genuine M3 in 2003. He then sold it in 2005 to a friend of his. It then got track dayed for years on end with the LS1 engine in it. He bought it back in 2017, done a load of stuff with it. I think he did some paint work and what have you and put the seats in, the dash and all the rest of it, made it proper trick. And that is how you seen it in the picture last time. So his name's Wayne. Just want to thank Wayne very much, and obviously Paul for giving me the heads up on it. But yeah, he's there for me. He said, any advice you want, just let me know and I'll do the best I can. But yeah, to be honest with you, he's given me a lot of hints and tips just last night on the phone. So really excited now. First thing we're going to be doing this week is taking these doors off. And annoyingly, in the normal E30 doors, you've got this little section here, which is on the M3 is just flush down to there. So we're going to be giving them to Stuart and he's going to be filling those properly, welding them up, what have you, and basically prepping the doors. Something we can just get on with until Mikey gets the car. But all we're waiting for really for Mikey is just for him to clear up a few jobs and the front panel to come. Said to you last time, we've got the sills there. We've obviously got the rear panel, so plenty to get on with. And then we're going to get Isaac inside of there, hopefully, with Stuart and start sort of sanding down the inside and ready for paint on the inside. But yeah, really exciting times, guys. The only thing he did suggest is maybe whether we do it now or whether we do it a bit later on. He said, but I probably would convert it to 5 studs. So he's going to let me know exactly what I need front and rear to do that. But if any of you guys are E30 experts and know what I would need and where I can get it to convert it to 5 stud, please feel free to let me know. But yeah, exciting times, guys. Oh, and also he did say that if you notice this colour, which does look distinctly more orange on the camera, I must admit, this is a sample of the Inca orange, so this is definitely Inca orange, but Wayne did say that his isn't Inca orange, it's Phoenix orange with a slightly different paint code, 028 paint code, and it's a bit more sort of redder and vibrant, so that is the colour I'm going to be going for. Absolutely love it. So yeah, thanks again, Wayne. Right guys, I know you're always saying that we never really see the end product or the engine in the vehicle. We've got one of our good customers, Ken Newton, has come over today in his Rover P4. Now this is a 2.6 straight 6. We'll have a chat with Ken in a minute. He picked it up the middle of January, I think, this engine. We did a short engine, obviously balanced and sized all the engine components in the bottom end. We refaced and went through the cylinder head, fitted the rocker shafts, a bit of welding, I think, on the cylinder head, but mainly we just sort of did the short engine. Ken's a subscriber of the channel and watches us, and he said when he gets it done, he'll be hopefully one of the first to arrive with the vehicle and show us the end product and show that something that we actually do does run. But as you can see, it's a slightly different colour scheme, but certainly stands out. Yeah, fantastic looking car. Smooth enough, Stu, isn't it?
Well, I just wanted to start the engine.
That's smooth enough, Ken, isn't it? God, that's so quiet, isn't it? Why has everyone gone so quiet? So yeah, how long have you had it, Ken?
Since about 2014, I think. So I got it just as a bare shell.
Yeah.
It had been stood for flipping years, you know.
Yeah. So someone stripped it and done the whole body, have they?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what I was going to do with it originally. It stood in the shed on the farm where I have my workshop.
Yeah.
And then 2019, as a club, we had a big event up in Cheltenham, and we did it for a charity.
Oh, okay.
The one that's on the boot.
Yeah.
And we raised some money, and then we was getting involved in a thing called the Fireball Rally.
Yeah.
Which I was going to do in my day car.
Okay.
Then I thought, no, we'll do it in this for a
Yeah.
bit of fun. So I got this ready, and then COVID happened. Obviously, we couldn't do the rally because it's in Europe.
Yeah.
And so then it got put on hold for a while. And the engine that was in it had a problem with it, so eventually I had to take it out.
Okay.
And because you know, I was going to do it myself, but I don't watch Coronation Street.
No, nor do I.
I watch Lee on the Monday, Wednesday and Friday. And so I thought, I'm going, you know, I mean, I've repaired these all my life, but I thought, no, I'm going to have something special done with it. And seriously, I am so pleased with this engine, it's untrue. And I'm not just saying that because you're stood there.
It does sound quiet. Have you noticed any difference? It was running before, was it, this engine, or is this a different engine?
This engine came out of another car.
Oh, okay.
In, crikey, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's never I've never run it.
Have you noticed any difference with it being balanced, or does it run smoother?
Yes.
Well, they're a pretty smooth lump anyway,
if I were, I'd be hypercritical because these are such a smooth engine.
Yeah,
anyway.
that's it,
the
yeah.
Big, you know, long stroke, 6-cylinder engine.
Yeah.
It's so smooth generally. But, you know, I just wanted it done and I wanted to bring it here.
Yeah. No, we really appreciate it, mate.
And I really, you know, I mean, John's doing a fantastic job, and Isaac for that matter.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you were ill at the time, but...
I know, yeah. You picked this up in January, didn't you, the engine, I think?
Yes, I think I did. Yeah.
No, it's great that you bought it in, mate. We've been saying on the channel we'd like to see the end product.
Yeah.
Everyone's been asking to see you know, some of the stuff that we do, that it actually does run at the end of it.
Yeah.
So, right then, guys, been a little bit of a busy bee this week. Although Paul hasn't been in, he's back tomorrow. Isaac's at college today, so John and I are on our own. But I've been cracking on with the BMW V8. So, as you know, by the last couple of videos, this thing had the heads on, needed to be timed up. Thanks very much to Mark at Paddock Motors for sending in the timing kit for this. Bit of an odd timing kit really, because usually, you can't see now because I've got the covers on, but underneath there you've got sort of flats on either side of the cam, and you have a tool that goes over both cams. You obviously undo the bolts or put new bolts in, slacken it all off, put the tool in, and then do the bolts up, obviously when it's on TDC. So down here, you've got a notch there with a pin that goes into there, so that's nice and easy, and that's TDC then on number 1. And what you do, it says on the paperwork for the timing, you sort of see where the lobes roughly go on bank 1 and 5, and you put the timing kit in. But the only thing is, the timing tools, you've got 2 timing tools and they go in one cam at a time, so you sort of do one, tighten it all up, and then you do the other one, and you sort of have to turn it over a couple of times and go to and fro and make sure it's all cock on. So managed to get all that done, guys. Obviously the rockers are on, the rocker covers are on, we've got the sump on now, put that on today. The only thing we are waiting for is we've got the thermostat housing here. We need an O-ring to go in there, which I've ordered from BMW, and also this cover which goes on the side of the block, you see there. And that cover bolts on there, and there is obviously a funny shaped sort of T-piece O-ring that goes in there. So I've ordered those both from BMW, and that's it really. That's pretty much all we're waiting for. Obviously there's a load of bolts missing, or left over here, which I'm sure Paul knows where they go, but they're certainly not inside. Always slightly concerning when you've got a few bolts left over. This is obviously to show the customer, this is what the issue was in the first place with the engine. That was obviously been pushed down into the main oil gallery to the back of the engine, which was blocking that number 5 main and obviously caused the main to go. Fortunately, it didn't spin the main, so the block was absolutely perfect. So that was the main reason for the engine being apart, guys. So we're just waiting for those bits. I come in this morning, put the sump on there. We've got some tubs over there with the bolts in, and Paul had obviously marked on inner sump, outer sump, etc. I've tipped out the bolts for the outer sump, or the inner sump, sorry. I'm very slightly concerning when something like this happens. These 2 keys fell out of the pot. So obviously you can imagine it's one of those moments where you just sort of stand and stare at them with your mouth open, thinking, oh my dear God, is it the keys out of the crank or something? So I've given Paul a bell, managed to get hold of him, and he said, I'm wondering whether it's from the old oil pump, because obviously before we ordered the new oil pump, we stripped out the old one just to see what it was like. Unfortunately, this is it, but these keys go in either side of there. So obviously, because it's part of the oil pump bolts, or I suppose, he's just chucked them in the pot. But yeah, very concerning sometimes when that happens, but thankfully they're not from the inside of the engine, so we didn't have to strip it again. Well guys, bit of negativity again, I'm afraid. Hate to be so negative on such a beautiful day out there, but one of my last videos, whichever one it was, about the Golf. So this is the Golf engine that we've stripped. Just to recap very briefly, guys, this has been going on for months and months. There's been backwards and forwards emails. The engine was done about 2.5 years ago. The guy claims that it's got low oil pressure on when it's hot. We did have the car in a month or 2 after we did the engine. Bear in mind, back then we didn't do a full engine recondition. It was just a rebuild, really. So we didn't really do any machining, just had new bits, everything measured up way within tolerance. We skimmed the head, put it all back together. It had an 1800 head on a 2 litre bottom end, but that combination there was running before. He said it was absolutely fine. So he's come back after a year or 2, obviously way out of warranty, but he says that he'd done hardly any miles in it, 500-600, and we agreed in the end for him to bring it back. And I said, you know, he was in and out and loads of emails, and in the end I agreed. I said, look, although it's out of warranty, I said, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. You get the engine into me as a tall engine as you picked it up. I will strip it, but if it is anything to do with what we've done or any measurements that could cause low oil pressure, then we will, we'll go through it with a fine-tooth comb, but I will honour the bill. I will pay the bill. You'll have it free of charge, and away you go. So he's bought the engine back. 1 week later, we've had it stripped. We've got back in touch with him. Obviously, because the summer's coming, I didn't want to keep him waiting. We've gone through it with a fine-tooth comb, and I said, listen, you better come in, have a look at it with your own eyes. I said, but we cannot find a thing wrong with this engine. Obviously, I put it in a video when we'd stripped it, and a lot of you guys had sort of commented saying what the potential things it could be for us to look at, which we did. We went back, we triple-checked them. Still can't find anything wrong with this engine whatsoever. So we invited him to come in. He came in last Friday in the vehicle. Bear in mind, this has only been like a week and a half since he bought the engine in. He's come in the actual Golf, popped the bonnet before he'd even come in. And when I've gone round to the front, to my surprise, he's got a fresh motor in the car, running fine. There's no problem with that oil pressure in there. And I said, well, all I can go by is what we've got in there, the work we've done, assess that, see what we've got. I said, we can't find anything wrong with that. You are more than welcome to get an independent engineer in here, because he sort of had a look through it. I'll run him through it. He said, well, it's a waste of time me looking, really. So that's what I said. Beforehand, before it even turned up, I did send an email just sort of clarifying what we'd found, everything we'd gone through and all the measurements and that. And then put on the bottom, obviously, with regards to our agreement, if you get an independent engineer in here and it does conclude what we've concluded, that there's nothing wrong with this engine, then obviously you could, at a discounted rate, you're going to have to pay for the engine to be put back together, plus obviously any work that's been done now, which I've put it down as 3 hours. It did actually take us more than that with all the checking and what have you and the liaising, but he's come in and he was not happy with that. Sort of stated to me that he wasn't happy with the videos I've been doing on it. I deem to be something I'm not in the videos. I'm a liar in them, this, that, the other. And I said, well, that's your opinion. Anyway, he's gone away. He sort of said, how long can you keep the engine before you have to get rid of it? And then he's gone up, took some photos and gone away. Now, over the weekend, and having read some comments from people, and people obviously emailed me and said their piece, I've sort of been thinking really that, do you know what? I don't understand why people are that unfair. We've had it now several times, and it seems to be more since this channel's been going. But really, when I've thought about it, that guy there was no winning with him. He wanted to bring that engine in. It seems to me, I shouldn't think for 1 minute he's going to have had that engine in there all done in the car that he's got in now, in the time that he's bought that engine. So that's almost, could be wrong, not throwing accusations, but my feeling is that he's got that engine in there all planned before he's even bought that other engine back to us. Now, we have done what we said we were going to do. We've spent time, you know, doing it. We've made space. We've put other jobs aside to get that onto an engine stand and get it stripped for him as quick as possible. But if he's not willing to go do his bit now and go, you know, that extra bit, so we've concluded that there's nothing wrong with it, he's more than willing now to get an independent engineer in to check that engine out. He doesn't want to do that. He's kicking off because there's any sort of charge, so he's gone back on the agreement that initially that we made via email, mind, and yeah, there was no winning with him. So I don't understand the point. I don't understand why people are doing it. We had it beginning of last year with a Duratec that we did for a chap. That went wrong. He's come back, he's let us strip it and spend a whole day stripping and reporting, doing a report and measuring everything, when he knew damn well that he put an aftermarket sump on that's not going to work, an aftermarket oil filter housing and pipe work, etc., and the thing's done an end, and he's using it for sort of off-road use anyway. So having let us spend all that time, they then don't want to pay for it, and then they get moody if I do a video about it. You know, I never mention any names. I'm not throwing accusations about, I'm just saying what we found and what is going on within our business, you know. It just baffles me. And this chap here, if he's not willing to get an independent engineer in here, or at least someone else to come in, then what does he expect us to do? What does he want us to do? I don't understand it. And having thought about it over the weekend, it baffles me more and more. Like, what was all the emails, all the arguing about, and all the rest of it? What was it all about? I can only think that all he wants is just his money back or something, and he's got another idea. Why should we? But I don't understand people's thinking and why they think that they should be able to get away with it in this trade. You know, I did explain to the customer from the Duratec, I said, listen, you had no intention of wanting to pay our time stripping that. You thought that it was our fault all along. So why didn't you just get an independent engineer to start with? I said, me doing these videos on that engine, I've got to recoup some revenue back to pay for our time that has been wasted by the likes of you. I said, it's either that or I can just give you a bill for stripping it for 600 quid plus the VAT. It's up to you. And then he understood. But this guy here, this is the same sort of thing. I just don't understand it. I don't understand what he wanted from us, what he wants from us still, what he wants me to do. But in a minute, you know, I'm going to have a think about it. And obviously, we've got it palleted up. I don't know how long he's intending to leave it here, but there's going to have to be some kind of storage, surely to God. But yeah, that's me rant, guys. Let me know what you think down in the comments, and yeah, be interesting to hear. But yeah, feeling a little bit bitter about it at the moment.
We go to the NEC every year and I was thinking about the colour scheme for it.
Yeah.
And that was chosen, well, basic colour scheme was chosen off a rally car.
Oh, right, okay.
NEC.
Oh, really?
I think it was a Renault or a Fiat.
Ah, right.
Rally car that was NEC. It's not exactly the same, but
yeah,
that's basically the idea.
It's definitely different, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Are the seat belts original?
No, I put them in.
You fitted them, have you?
Yeah.
So what, didn't have any seat belts originally?
No, you don't legally required to have them.
Yeah. Can I sit in here,
Yeah,
Ken?
of
Can
course
I?
you Probably a bit near for you.
Oh, mate. That is comfortable, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like somebody's armchair, isn't it?
Oh, it is, yeah, that is lovely. So you've got the modern radio in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does feel comfortable. Well, thanks ever so much, Ken, for bringing it in. Really
It's a pleasure.
appreciate that.
Well, I'll say I know that you're always saying, you never see your
Yeah,
end
well, we
result.
don't really. That's the
It's
trouble.
kind of unfair, you know what I mean?
It is really. The trouble is with us, because we're so far down out the way,
Yeah.
a lot of the motors we do
from
go
the
away and we don't get to see them. But that's really one reason we started to sort of do track days and
Yeah.
get out and see some stuff that we've done. And
Well, I might bring this to one when you get out somewhere.
yeah,
I mean, I'm not sure if I'll put it on the track, but I'll certainly bring it.
yeah. Oh yeah, certainly. No, we really appreciate that, mate. Thank you very
Yeah.
much. So there we go, guys. Just want to thank Ken. Just a bit of proof, really, that some motors that we build do actually run at the end of it. It'd be quite nice to meet him, maybe at a track sometime, or go on one of these rallies that he's on about. Thank you very much, Ken. Well, thanks ever so much for watching today's video, guys. Please hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and we'll see you in Friday's episode. Cheers, guys.